So a lot has changed since we were last here. We did a video where we showed you how to do some spring overseeding. Look at the fig tree. It sprouted like crazy. Everything's different, and yet only about 15 days have passed. We seeded that March 14th, and today is March 29th here in Fresno, California. Now these techniques obviously work great in spring, but they're not specific to a part of the country or a time of the year. Anytime you're going to overseed your lawn or even seed your lawn, this is the type of regimen you would want to follow if you want to have as fast as possible germination and as healthy as possible germination. And the benefit of fast germination is if you can get that lawn to spring up out of the ground quickly, you minimize weed issues. When lawn comes up slowly, those weed seeds come up and just kind of overcome it. So one of the techniques here is we want that lawn to pop up out of the ground, and through competition and shading, make it so not much else comes up but all of these seeds that we planted. I'm John Valentino, and I'm president of John & Bob's Corporation, and I'm here with one of my main vice presidents, Chip Valentino. We're here on a beautiful, well, it turned out to be beautiful. It didn't start out too beautiful, but we're here on a early spring day in Fresno, and we are going to show you how to use some of our products in the course of making this lawn germinate quickly. And one of the really great things about it is Chip can be around. He might even be able to apply them, or he can certainly watch while we apply them, and he can be on top of them right after we apply them. Perfectly safe for pets and kids. One of the great things also is there's no way you can burn anything with them, and you don't have to water right away. If you don't water for a while, fine. If you want to water right after, that's fine. I usually say I'd like to base the watering on the needs of the lawn in this case. So rather than saying, oh, I put that on, I gotta water, we say I put that on, next time it needs water is this day. It could sit there for a day or two, a week, a month, and it's not gonna burn, not gonna cause any problem at all. You can get any seed to germinate within a couple of weeks. 14 days for this type of tall fescue is pretty common. We got it to germinate much faster than that. I'd say 8 to 10 days. And the key to that fast germination is a component in our blend and in our Penetrate Liquid Biotiller that causes seed to germinate faster and germinate at a greater percentage of successful seed sprouts. And that component is humic acid. So we have humic acid in a granular form in the blend, and we have humic acid in a liquid form in the Penetrate Liquid Biotiller. Once we put on the seed, if you recall from the last video, we put the blend right over the top of it, and then you could either spray right over the top of the blend with the Penetrate Liquid Biotiller, or you can put that 1/8-inch thick layer of composted mulch or composted manure, whatever you choose to use. We used a product called Amend. You could spray right over the top of that. Now, we didn't show that last week, so I'm going to show you how you do that with a backpack sprayer. This is a 4-gallon backpack sprayer, which is really convenient to use. And we're going to mix our 8 ounces of Penetrate Liquid Biotiller. The label says 1 gallon per 8 ounces, but you don't have to use a gallon. You could use 10 gallons, or you could use 1/4 of a gallon. The water is just a vehicle to get that Penetrate Liquid Biotiller applied. And you can spray it on like this and have a fine mist and go over everything, making sure that you're getting this to go right on top of where the seed is. Or you can take the nozzle off like this and kind of wave this thing around and just throw that, and that's a way to apply it a lot faster. If you're going to do that, you probably need to use a lot of water so you don't run out. Penetrate Liquid Biotiller is useful for faster seed germination, for jump-starting the process of building life in the soil. It's really useful for a lot of different things. It also has all kinds of food for microbiology in it, including live bacteria. It's really great on all types of soil, but in this case we're using it specifically when we plant seed because we want that seed to jump out of the ground, and that's going to make it so we can mow it faster. If we can mow it faster, it gets stronger roots faster, it starts spreading a little bit if it's the type of lawn that can spread like this one, since we used RTF, which is a tall fescue. And everything that needs to happen for a healthy lawn starts happening faster if we can get that seed to germinate fast. So with our granular humic acid, which is in the blend, and our liquid humic acid, which is in the Penetrate Liquid Biotiller, that's a big part of getting this to jump up out of the ground. And then you can water it right away, or you can wait. Mostly I would wait and water when the lawn needs it. After you seed it, and we put that mulch on right at the end of our last video, then you start to water, and we explained in that video how you water. You want to keep that seed moist when the sun is out. So frequent waterings, much different than how you're going to water once we get roots established, when we want to encourage deep rooting. Now we don't want to encourage deep rooting, we want to encourage seed germination, and that means shallow, frequent watering to keep that seed moist. As soon as it starts to sprout up, then you're starting to monitor it, because we're looking for the opportune time to cut back that water when we think we've gotten a good percentage of the seeds to germinate. We want to cut back that water, maybe gradually, maybe all at once, because we want to mow really soon. This is a strategy that's different than what a lot of people use. They tend to want to wait until every possible seed germinated. I don't really like that technique. I'd rather, when we get a lot of germination, then I cut back the water, and then I turn off the water for half a day or a day so I can get the soil firm. We don't want to mow when it's so wet that we put ridges and indentations in the seed bed, and that happens very easily if it's very wet. So we want to dry it out, go a day or two without watering, and then mow it real quickly. I've already mowed this twice in 15 days. I think I mowed the first time at about day 10 or 11, and then I mowed the second time at about day 14 or 15. Then once you mow, if you think there's more seeds to germinate, then you can go back to frequent surface watering, or if you think you're 90% germinated, then you can change the strategy and maybe change the watering to just once a day. I watered this 3 times a day, just for like a minute and a half, 3 times a day. It wasn't that hot, so I just wanted to keep that top moist. Then after I mowed it the first time, I went down to 2 times a day, and after I mowed it the second time, I went down to 1 time a day, and I'll probably change that pretty quickly where I don't need to water every day. So on that first mowing, if we're gonna make an error in terms of the height, I'd rather make an error in mowing it too high than too low, because it is tender and sensitive to start with. We're gonna target 3 inches or around there for that first height, but never go less than 2 inches on fescue. When you have warm season grasses like Bermuda, those you can mow much lower, and I like to mow those low because they tend to help with pressures of weeds. So if you're mowing frequently, weeds can't take constant low mowing. As you get into the heat of the summer, you want to mow higher and higher, and that protects the roots from harsh, hot temperatures, and it's a good way to allow tall fescue, which doesn't really like high summer temperatures, to kind of go into a resting dormancy where it can just get along with the summer heat and then be ready to take off again as soon as the heat subsides a little. This is a garden truth that doesn't come up enough, because I think it's really helpful and beneficial to develop a mowing protocol with a mulching mower, and it improves everything about your lawn. And when you're doing that, you'll notice that you do need to mow frequently, because you're mulching it, and if you let it get too long, it becomes a gummy mess. But as long as you mow regularly, the mulching mower is the way to go. It feeds the lawn, it feeds the soil, and in recent seeded projects, it actually acts like an additional top dressing mulch to help that seed that hasn't germinated yet come up. And so I like to use a mulching mower, and recommend that you use a mulching mower. And you can get gas-powered mulching mowers or electric mulching mowers. We'll show you here right now an electric mulching mower that works really well. On a lot of mowers, you can make it so you pick it up or so you mulch it. With this mower, you can pick up the lawn if you want. Let's say you're gone for 2 or 3 weeks and it grows like crazy and it's just too tall to mulch, then you can use the catcher with it and you can pick it up, put it in the green waste barrel. Or you can make a slight adjustment and just mulch without the bag at all. And almost every mower that has the mulching option also has the option to pick it up. So as soon as you've mowed it the first time or the second time, and now we really are pretty sure that we've germinated most of the seeds, now we want to encourage that lawn to spread, which the mowing helps immensely, and we want to encourage it to be just as healthy as possible, and we also want to continue to feed the soil. It's the soil that can make that lawn sustainable on a long term. So fertilization is excellent right after that first or second mowing, and I like to do a pretty heavy fertilization because we want great color and a lot of vitality in the lawn, and we want this new lawn to really take off. Obviously, you can use any kind of fertilizer. I prefer one of our fertilizers because our fertilizers not only feed the lawn, but they feed the soil. That's hard to find. More mainstream fertilizers like Scott's, they only feed the plant. And most lawn, like tall fescue, likes Miracle-Gro and responds very positively to it. But when you're only using those kinds of products, you're missing the opportunity to build the soil. And it's the soil that is the key to not having fungal disease and not having other pests and disease issues, and to having a lawn that can be as healthy and as green as possible without frequent supplemental fertilizations. And that's really what we're trying to do here, is produce soil that can fertilize the lawn without our help. So what we would use is a good heavy application of Nourish Biosol at about 10 pounds per thousand. Nourish Biosol being a very unique fertilizer, and that's because it's plant-based, and it's hard to find a plant-based fertilizer. In this case, it's made from the Bloom cultured soybean meal and cottonseed meal, and those are non-GMO. Now we also offer another organic fertilizer, which is a contrast, and I get a lot of questions about the distinction between the two. It's actually an organic fertilizer and soil builder also, but it is animal-based, and so it's based from chicken manure. We call it Value Rich. Value Rich, we also recommend 10 pounds per thousand. Many of you have experience with lawn. We're interested this week in having you tell us about your negative experiences, problems, or your successes. And our favorite response will get a free box of Penetrate Liquid Biotiller, which we've discussed quite a bit in this video today. All you need to do is post your story in the comments below. In last week's video, we asked you, so will you be overseeding? If you are planning to overseed, let us know what kind of seed you're going to use in the comments below. Our favorite answer and the winner of a free bag of Nourish Biosol . So this video, which we shot today on March 29th, is a continuation of the beginning of this process, which you can watch in detail. We show you every step, which we did on March 14th. Tune into that one if you haven't seen it yet, and the two go together beautifully, then watch them both again.